we'll move on to region of convergence. What is region of convergence? In both Laplace and Z transforms, this is something new we haven't heard of so far. Region of convergence. So what is region of convergence? Region of convergence is the range of values of S, right? We are converting from t to S, right? Using Laplace transform, the variable t we are converting to S. Now, the range of values for this S, the range of values for this S, for which the integral e power integral f of t e power minus st dt converges. Converges means it's going to be a finite value. It's going to be a finite value. That is what is the meaning of converge, right? The range of values of S for which the integral converges is called the ROC, right? Suppose my f of s is going to be 1 by s. F of s is going to be 1 by s. Now for what values of s, will my f of s be a finite value, right? S can take any number of any value, right? It is nothing but sigma plus j omega. Both sigma and omega can take values from infinite to minus infinite, right? It can take any value. So for what values of S is my f of S finite? We'll just have a look. If I put S equals to 0, if I substitute, what will happen? F of S equals to infinity. So does not converge, right? It does not converge. Then if I put any other value of S, whatever value I put for S other than 0, even if I put infinity, if I put S is equals to infinity, what happens to f of S? F of S becomes 0, right? F of S becomes 0. That means it converges. It converges. Right? Any other value if I put, it is going to be a finite value. It is going to be a finite value less than infinity. It will converge. So all values of S except x equals to 0 leads to f of S to converge, right? Except s equals to 0, any other value if I put for S, my f of S is converging. So my ROC, the region of convergence. What is the region of convergence here? Except s equals to 0, any other value, my integral is converging. So that is the region of convergence. So my ROC is going to be entire S plane. I can take any value of S, right? Sigma plus j omega. I can take any value of S except S equals to 0. Except this part, I can take any other value of S, right? So that is my region of convergence. Only in this region where S equals to 0, my f of S is equals to 1 by S does not converge. So that is the only region where my integral does not converge. So my region of convergence is every other point in the S plane except S equals to 0, right? That is region of convergence. Now I'll erase everything here. Now ROC depends on type of signals. Now ROC, that is region of convergence, it depends on the type of signal we are considering. So the first type of signal is right-sided signal. Right-sided signal or causal signal. So how does it look like? It is only defined for positive values of t, right? Only defined for positive values of t, right? Such signals are called causal signals. So, and the other next kind of signal is anti-causal or left-sided. So only on the left side it is defined. The third type is two-sided signal. So two-sided, both sides it is defined for both positive values as well as negative values. So based on these three types of signals, my ROC is going to be determined, right? So first we look at right-sided signal. Okay, now I'm going to look at right-sided signal. Right-sided signal. Now, this example is to find the Laplace transform of f of t equals to e power minus at into u of t. Since it is multiplied by u of t, that means my signal is going to be existent only for t values of 0 to infinity. That is only for right-sided, or only for positive values of t, which means the signal is right-sided signal. Now let me find the Laplace transform for this. What is the Laplace transform equation? It is f of s equals to my integral minus infinite to plus infinite f of t e power minus at or e power minus est dt, right? Now in place of f of t, I'm going to substitute e power minus at into u of t, right? This is e power minus at into u of t. Now e power minus at and e power minus st I have combined into a single term. Now what is u of t? U of t is defined only for values of t greater than or equal to 0, right? So my lower limit now will become 0 if I substitute values of u of t. It has become 0. Then now I have to integrate e power minus a plus st. Now if I integrate it, I'll get e power minus a plus s into t divided by minus a plus s. Okay, this is what I'll get, e power minus a plus s into t divided by minus a plus s. Now, and my limits are 0 to infinity. If I substitute t is equals to infinity, what will I get? I'll get e power minus infinity. E power minus infinity is nothing but 0 minus, if I substitute t equals to 0, e power 0 is 1 divided by s plus a. I have a negative sign that multiplied with a minus is going to be plus. So this is my Laplace transform for e power minus at into u of t, 1 by s plus a. Now this integral here, from this integral here, I am going to find out my ROC. For any Laplace transform of a function, it is not sufficient to write this alone. It is not sufficient to write my f of t equals to e power minus at. So let me write here e power minus at u of t, right, as a Laplace transform 1 by s plus a, right? This is not sufficient. I have to mention the ROC also. I have to mention the ROC also. So from this equation, from this integral, I am going to find my ROC. So when will this integral converge? When will this integral converge? What is the condition for ROC? The integral minus infinite to infinite f of t e power minus st dt must converge, right? So I have substituted my f of t and I have simplified it till this point, right? I have simplified it till this point. So from this integral, I'm going to find the values for which it converges, right? When will this this integral, when will this equation 1 converge? If you look at this, e power minus some x, let us say x, right? E power minus x t, e power minus xt. When will this converge? What is e power minus xt? It is a decaying exponential. It is a decaying exponential, right? Or let me just say if x is greater than 0, if x is a positive value, if x is a positive value, let us say x is positive value. So what happens? E power minus a positive value in t, right? It is nothing but a decaying exponential. It is a decaying exponential. So when we go towards infinity, the value is going to converge. If x is a negative value, what happens? Negative into negative, positive. E power a positive value. It is going to rise. So when we go towards infinity, my value also goes exponentially towards infinity, right? So for x values, for when x is a negative value, this will not converge. Only for values of x which is positive, this is going to converge. So what is x here? S plus a. So when x or when s plus a is greater than 0 only, it will converge, right? When s plus a is positive, then only my integral converges. Now s plus a greater than 0, so what is s? S is nothing. What is S? S is, so here we will consider only the real part. To find the ROC, we are only considering the real part. We are not considering the imaginary parts. We'll only consider real part to find the ROC. So real part of S plus A is greater than 0. So real part of S is nothing but sigma. So if I simplify this, I'll get sigma is greater than minus A. So this is my ROC. So what is my ROC? My ROC is sigma greater than minus A. This is the ROC. So now I will try and I will erase this part here. Right. Now I will draw the ROC. I will draw the ROC. So how will I draw the ROC? How will I draw the ROC? I will take my S plane. So this is my real axis. This is my imaginary axis. Right. Now sigma is greater than minus A. So when sigma is equals to minus A, at sigma equals to minus A, I am going to draw a line. Right. I am going to draw a line. Sigma equals to minus A. Right. At this point, on this line, every point, my sigma is equals to minus A. This is minus A plus 0 plus J0, minus A plus J1, minus A plus J2, and so on. Right. So this is the line sigma equals to minus A. So what is my ROC? My ROC is all values of sigma that is greater than minus A. That greater than minus A means it's going to be towards the right side. It's going to be towards the right side. So this is how I will represent my ROC. Right? This is how I will represent my ROC. So if you look at this, this is a right-sided signal. Since this is a right-sided signal or a causal signal, my ROC is also towards the right side. My ROC is also towards the right side. Right? It is towards the right side. It is right. It is right of the rightmost pole. Right? What is the pole here? We'll test the pole here. What is the pole here? Pole is equals to S is equals to minus A. This is my pole, right? How will you find the pole? For the Laplace transform, we'll equate the denominator to 0 and we will get the poles. So pole is equals to S equals to minus A. S equals to minus A. And is there any 0 here? There is no 0, right? If I can't equal 1 to 0. So there are no zeros for this particular Laplace transform. And the pole is minus A. So this is my pole. Yeah, S equals to minus A. Right? This is the pole. So here in this case, we only have one pole and my signal is right-sided signal. So my pole is my ROC is right of the rightmost pole. Right of the rightmost pole. It is towards the right of the rightmost pole. My rightmost pole here is sigma equals to minus A. Since my time domain signal is right-sided signal, my ROC is right of the rightmost pole. Right? Based on this, we have some properties. So we look at the properties here. Right? Now, the ROC, the ROC, the ROC will consist of strips parallel to j omega axis, right? ROC consists of strips parallel to j omega axis. Is that what we have seen now? It has a strip parallel to j omega axis. Like this, there can be many strips. There can be many strips like this. Based on number of poles, we'll get number of strips. So that is the first property. ROC consists of strips parallel to j omega axis in the S-plane. Then if f of t is of finite, okay, we'll look at this one. If f of the fourth property here, if f of t is right-sided, right, my original signal I considered for this example was e power minus at into u of t. That means it is right-sided, right? It is a causal signal. Then if the line r real part of s, that is nothing but sigma, if the line sigma is equals to sigma naught is in the ROC, then all values of s for which sigma greater than sigma naught will also be in ROC. What was my this is my j omega axis and sigma. Now sigma equals to minus a. Now this is the pole of my system, my signal I have considered. Suppose that my f of t is a right-sided signal and sigma equals to 0, sigma equals to 0. In case of sigma naught, I'm considering 0. If sigma equals to 0 is in the ROC, right, mine is a right-sided signal, and sigma equals to 0 is in the ROC. Right-sided signal means from this is my pole and this is my pole, and my ROC is going to be towards the right side, right of the rightmost pole, right? And if sigma equals to, let me consider 0 in this case, 0 is in the ROC, it is in the ROC, then all values of s for which sigma greater than 0 will also be in ROC, right? So this extends up to infinity, right? So all values of sigma greater than 0 are also included in the ROC, right? That is what this fourth property is stating. If f of t is a right-sided signal and if the line sigma is equal to sigma naught is in the ROC, then all values of s for which sigma is greater than sigma naught will also be in the ROC. This is one property. Similarly, we have another property here. If f of t is right-sided, then the ROC is the region to the right of the rightmost pole. We might have multiple poles. We might have multiple poles, and this is one pole, and this is one pole, and maybe this is another pole, right? And if my time domain signal is right-sided, if my time domain signal is right-sided, my my ROC is going to be right of the rightmost pole. This is the rightmost pole. So this is going to be my ROC. My ROC can't be from this point. It can't be from this point. It can only be from this point. Only right of the rightmost pole. So we have seen the first property, fourth property, and We have touched the eighth property, right? We will also look at other problems and corresponding properties. So let us go to another example. Now we have seen a right-sided signal. Now we'll look at left-sided signal. So this is the left-sided signal. U of minus t. U of minus t is defined for minus t greater than or equals to 0. That means t less than or equals to 0. So that is a left-sided signal, right? Now, in place of f of t, I am going to substitute my left-sided signal, that is minus e power minus at u of t, u of minus t. Now I'm going to combine both the exponential terms. Minus sign, I took it outside of the integral, and u of minus t is defined only for negative values of t, that is minus infinite to 0, right? Now what I'll do, I'm going to I'm going to uh, I'm going to substitute t equals to minus t, t equals to minus t. So what happens? Dt equals to minus dt, right? And integral limits are going to be, when t equals to minus infinity, then minus t is going to be infinity. So infinity to 0, infinity to 0. So what will my new integral be? My new integral is going to be infinity to 0, infinity to 0, e power a plus s, a plus s into t, right? In place of t, I'm going to substitute minus t, so minus and minus cancel. In place of dt, I have minus t, so minus dt here, and I have a negative signal outside, so these two will get cancelled, right? Now here I have a lower limit as infinity and upper limit as 0. So what I can do is I can swap or interchange these limits, right? I can make my lower limit 0 and upper limit infinity. If I do like that, what should I do? I should introduce a negative sign. So I'm going to interchange my limits. That means I have to introduce a negative sign, right? I have to introduce a negative sign. So that is what I have here as my equation 1, right? That is what I have here as the equation 1. So from this equation 1, before finding the Laplace transform, let us first find the region of convergence, right? We will find the region of convergence, then we'll continue from this integral to find the Laplace transform, right? When does this converge? If my term in the exponential If my term in the exponential is a negative term only, it will converge. That means a plus s into t must be a negative term. Forget t. We are only concerned about a plus s. So my a plus s has to be negative, right? It will converge only when it is negative. So a plus s less than 0. Then real part, we are only considering the real part, right? So sigma plus a is less than 0. That means sigma less than minus a. Sigma is less than minus a. So how will my region of convergence look like? At minus a, sigma equals to minus a, I have a parallel strip to the j omega axis, and since sigma less than minus a is my ROC, it is going to be like this. This is my ROC. This is my ROC. I have to shade my ROC each time I represent it. So this is my ROC. This is how I'm going to shade my ROC, right? Since it is a left-sided signal, my ROC is left of the leftmost pole. ROC is left of the leftmost pole. Then we have found out what my ROC is. Now we'll find out the Laplace transform. We'll find the Laplace transform. So here I'm going to integrate this e power a plus s into t divided by e power divided by a plus s 0 to infinity. So if I integrate and substitute the limits, I'll get 1 by s plus a, right? I will arrive at 1 by s plus a. Here if I integrate it, this is what I am arriving at. Now if I substitute t is equal to infinity, what happens? e power a plus e power a plus s into infinity, right? E power a plus s into infinity, there's a negative sign, minus e power 0, e power 0, right, divided by s plus a, right? Now e power a plus s into infinity, what is my a plus s here? My Laplace transform converges only if this a plus s is a negative number. So if a plus s is a negative number, negative into infinity is e power minus infinity. So e power minus infinity, e power minus infinity means it goes to 0. Then this is nothing but 1. So minus, if I multiply inside, this will become 1 by s plus a. This is how I will find the Laplace transform. Then this is the expression Laplace transform pair. My time domain signal and its Laplace transform, that is nothing but 1 by s plus a, and the ROC. ROC is nothing but sigma is less than minus a. I can write real part of s, or I can write just sigma. Sigma is less than minus a. Now if you remember, our previous Laplace transform pair was e power minus at u of t, right? E power minus at u of t as the Laplace transform 1 by s plus a. What was the ROC? Sigma greater than minus a, right? For both signals e power minus a to u of t and minus e power minus a to u of minus t, the Laplace transform looks very similar. The Laplace transform is very similar, right? So if I just have 1 by s plus a and I want to find the inverse Laplace transform, I can write any of these signals. It is not unique, right? My Laplace transform is not unique. What makes my Laplace transform unique? The ROC. The ROC makes my Laplace transform unique. So that is the importance of ROC in Laplace transform. So without ROC, your Laplace transform is incomplete. So with the help of ROC only, I can find the inverse Laplace transform. Only with the help of ROC. If I do not write this ROC, then I cannot find the corresponding inverse Laplace transform. It can be either this signal or this signal. I do not know. Only if the ROC is mentioned, I can confidently say which of the two signals is the exact inverse Laplace transform, right? So this is one example for the left-sided signal or anti-causal signal. So now we have seen right-sided as well as left-sided signals. Now we'll see a combination of both. This is my right-sided signal and this is my left-sided signal. We'll look at the combination of both. When you have a right-sided signal as well as a left-sided signal, then we call it a two-sided signal. Two-sided signal. So let us see the Laplace transform of the two-sided signal, right? So I can make it into two different integrals, right? Two different integrals. The first one is going to be my right-sided signal, and the second one is going to be the left-sided signal. So till this point, I can um, easily calculate till this point. Now here at this point, I will calculate the ROC. Before continuing with the integration, I'll find out the ROC. So for the first integral, what is my ROC? My ROC must be, when will this e power minus s plus a into t, when will this converge? If my s plus a if my s plus a is positive. What happens if s plus a is positive? This becomes a negative term in the exponential, right? Minus some value, e power minus some value will always converge, right? So s plus a must be greater than 0, and here in the second integral my s plus b must be a negative value. S plus a must be a positive value and s plus b must be a negative value. So if I simplify this, if I take the real part of this and simplify, my s must be my s, not s, the real part of this, that is sigma. Sigma must be greater than minus a. From the first part, sigma must be greater than minus a, and from the second part, sigma must be less than minus b, right? If I combine these two, what will I get? Sigma is greater than minus a and sigma is less than minus b. So sigma is in between minus a and minus b. So that is what I am considering. Okay, that is what I am arriving at, right? Then I'll continue with the integration. If I continue with the integration, this is the final answer, 1 by s plus a plus 1 by s plus b. Separately we have found out these two, right? For both of them it is 1 by s plus a in the previous two examples, right? In the previous two examples, this is the third example. So from the previous two examples you know how to integrate these terms, and this is the final answer, 1 by s plus a plus 1 by s plus b. Now we will look at the s plane, my ROC. So how will my ROC look? My ROC will look like, my first strip I will draw at sigma equals to minus a. This is my first strip. This is my first strip. Sigma equals to minus a is my pole, right? Sigma, from this I can find my poles. How will I find my poles? S plus a into s plus b, and my numerator is going to be 2s plus a plus b, right? To find the poles, I have to equate the denominator to 0. So s equals to minus a and s equals to minus b are my poles, right? S equals to minus a and s equals to minus b are my poles. So my first strip will be at s equals to minus a, and the second strip will be at s equals to minus b, right? S equals to minus b. So there are multiple poles here. So my ROC can be either right of the rightmost pole. It can be either right of the rightmost pole, or it can be on the left of the leftmost pole, right? When will I have my ROC as right of the rightmost pole? Only when it is right-sided signal. When the signal is right-sided signal, I'll have right of the rightmost pole. When the signal is left-sided, I'll have left of the leftmost pole. Now, here in this case, my signal is not right-sided or not left-sided. It is a combination of both. It is a two-sided signal. So my ROC will be in between two poles. So my ROC is going to be in between two poles. It won't be right of the rightmost pole or left of the leftmost pole. It's going to be in between the two poles. My ROC is in between the two poles. So this is how I will find my ROC, right? This is how I'll find my ROC. Here, um, here there's a mistake. I have to write this here, right? I haven't changed this. I haven't changed anything here. So you know how to write my Laplace transform pair, right? I'll write this signal on the left hand side, followed by a double-headed arrow, Laplace transform, and this will be on the right hand side, followed by ROC, followed by ROC. So that is how we will write the final Laplace transform pair. Then we'll move on to properties of ROC, right? So first property we have seen. So far we have drawn different ROCs. What does all the ROCs consist of? It has strips parallel to the j omega axis. The j omega axis. For that I'm drawing strips parallel to the j omega axis, right? I'm drawing parallel strips to the j omega axis. This is my j omega and these are my parallel strips. So for rational Laplace transforms, the ROC does not contain any poles. So basically what it says is when you draw an ROC, it should not contain any poles. It should not contain any poles. Suppose I have three different poles for my given Laplace transform, right? Let me say -1, -2 and 2. These are my three different poles. Now my ROC should not contain any poles. My ROC can't be something like this. My ROC can't be something like this because in my ROC there are poles. -1 is a pole and 2 is also a pole. It should not contain any poles, right? My ROC can't be like this. Also, my ROC cannot be like this also. It can't be like this also, right? Because again my ROC is containing poles inside it. So ROC cannot have poles. So how will my ROC look like? Sorry, what kind of ROCs can I have? If these are my poles, how will my ROC? What different kinds of ROC can I have? I can have three different kinds of ROCs. One is right of the rightmost pole. If I have multiple poles, there are three different kinds of ROCs I can get, right? Right of the rightmost pole, then left of the leftmost pole, or in between any two poles. So in between any two poles, I can draw however I wish, right? So these two poles I'll consider, and my ROC can be somewhere in between this, right? My ROC can be somewhere in between this, or my ROC can be somewhere in between these two poles, right? It can be somewhere in between these two poles. I cannot draw an ROC. In between this line and this line, right? I can't draw an ROC in between these two because my ROC will now consist a pole at this point, right? At this point there is a pole, so I cannot draw an ROC between these two lines. So these are the different types of ROCs that can exist, right? Now let us go to the next point. If f of t is of finite duration and is absolutely integrable, then ROC is the entire S-plane. F of t is of finite duration and is absolutely integrable, then the ROC is the entire S-plane. This is one property. Then this property we have already seen. Similar to the fourth property, we have the fifth property. Fourth property is for right-sided signal. Fifth property is for left-sided signal. All the explanation is same. There it is right-sided. Here it is going to be left-sided, right? Here it is greater than sigma naught. Here it's going to be less than sigma naught, right? And similar to the above two properties, we have the sixth property, that is for a two-sided signal. What happens if the signal is two-sided? Then the ROC will consist of a strip in S-plane that includes this particular line, right? Similar to the explanation which I have given for the fourth property. Then seventh property is, if the Laplace transform of f of t is rational, then its ROC is bounded by poles or extends to infinity, right? If you look at different types of ROCs we have drawn here, we have drawn in the red color. It is on one side it is bounded by a pole, and on the other side it extends to infinity, right? It is bounded by a pole or extends to infinity. Similarly, the one in the yellow color also, it is on one side bounded by a pole, and on the other side it extends to negative infinity or infinity, right? The other two ROCs I have drawn here in the green color, they are bounded by poles on each side. One pole. This region is bounded by a pole. This pole and this pole. It is not going beyond the poles. So it is bounded by poles. Similarly, this one also, it is bounded by poles. Bounded by poles. So this is the another property of ROC. The ROC will either be bounded by poles or extends to infinity, right? Then for a right-sided signal, the ROC is right of the rightmost pole. For a left-sided signal, the ROC is left of the leftmost pole. This is the last property. So we have covered all the 8 properties, and we have seen examples also for them.